What's going on, extras? Here she is. This is Tina, and we are going to get all into just like taboo topics that we don't discuss as a community. A lot of times, there's a stigma in discussing that, and not making people well informed of what's going on and how this epidemic, how it's real and how it has affected people. And I just feel like these are things that we need to talk about, because hey, somebody could be watching this video right now and it could convict them to want to go and get the help that they need. So that being said, I want to thank you for joining me tonight and just agreeing to do this. So so tell the people a little bit about yourself, a little bit about who you are.
So my name is Tina. I am in recovery for over 7.5 years now. And I have basically transformed my life. Part-time college student. I work with the homeless population at a crisis center for women and children. I'm the assistant manager there. And for 3 years, I worked as a substance abuse counselor, peer supporter, all things recovery, life transformation. That's my niche.
So I'm gonna say sis is just a life coach, and the life coach is life coaching. Yes, just helping those transition, into recovery and helping them to, just get the best out of the rest of their lives. So, let's start. Question: How did this become a part of your world?
Okay, so my journey it started about 13 years ago.
Okay.
It didn't start with opioids, but it ended with opioids. Okay. It initially started with alcohol. My first drink, I woke up in the Kent State Hospital with alcohol poisoning. And that was at 18 years old. But again, addiction is progressive. So it was like, oh, I just woke up in the hospital I drank too much, right? But then as time went on, the first substance I picked up was ecstasy. And it kind of went with the lifestyle that I was living. Mm-hmm. I was living a fast life, making fast money, and it just kind of fit the lifestyle I was living at the time. And so in addition to the people around me, it didn't help. And so at first it was fun, but then it started to become a coping mechanism.
Okay.
So crisis happened. I struggled with alcohol for many, many years before I even got to opiates. Okay. My brother was killed, and my alcoholism just went through the roof. But again, I didn't know that I had an addiction because, in our community, it's always under the auspices of I was kicking it, or, right. I just drank too much last night. So when the consequences started coming, I didn't recognize them immediately because it was just things that just happened to all of us. Right. I drank too much. I got a hangover. But it went from being fun to being a necessity. So I got a lot of bad information out there. Oh, you got a hangover? Have another drink. Drink in the morning. That'll make you feel better. Let's keep it honest. It was just because you were drinking dark light liquor. Try dark. So I had a lot of suggestions in the streets that ultimately led to my demise as my disease started to progress. Okay. So, a lot of people ask, how did it get started? And I was actually thinking about this. I drank too much, too long, too often. And at some point, I crossed over this imaginary line that you can't see called addiction.
Wow. I mean, that's deep. But I'm happy that you're putting it out there that, that comes with the, the lifestyle, like the kicking it lifestyle, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I had one too many, okay, yeah, and then with the suggestions, yeah, just have something in the morning that'll take the edge off, or whatever. So let's go, just a little deeper. How did the crossover get over to you after doing ecstasy? How did you?
So first it was ecstasy, and then when I think when substances first come out, they're really potent and they do what they're supposed. They give you the effect you're looking for.
Okay.
But over time, your body starts to build up a tolerance.
Okay.
And so, first it was like on the weekends, and then it was like during the week, because now I'm feeling like really low energy and I need something to pep me up. Or I would tell myself like, oh, I got to clean up the house. So I pop a pill and, to convince myself that this was going to help me accomplish whatever it is I needed to accomplish for the day.
Okay.
Because remember, the night before I've been out kicking it, right? So my energy is low. So I need something to pick me up.
Right.
And so it just starts to become a pattern. And then I was around some people who used cocaine. I remember a time when I was like, I would never try that. Well, once you start down that path, as your addiction progresses, you're open. You become more open to trying different things. So it's like, well, I'll try it once just to see. And it wasn't that bad. It actually kind of gave me the same effect that the ecstasy did, right? But now the pills are changing, so they're not really giving me the effect that I'm looking for. But what I don't realize is that it's because I've built up a tolerance.
Okay.
So now I switch substances. And then to come down off of the cocaine, I start drinking more. Some people would eat. I chose to drink alcohol. So I mixing the two, right? And so now my main struggle is alcohol at this point. And I think that went on for about, I would say about 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, about 6 years. You know what I was thinking about?
What?
That one time, I think y'all had a little house party or something over here, and I woke up like I was still here the next day. And so I was thinking about, just the signs,
Right.
because for me it was like not remembering what happened the night before.
Okay.
Waking up with a really bad hangover, and then, or just, people telling me, did you know you did this or you did that? And I have no recollection of it whatsoever. So now here comes the shame, the guilt, you know what I mean? And so as my alcoholism progressed, I stopped going to bars. Now I'm drinking at home, right? And guess what happens? I'm drinking even more because now it's cheaper and I don't have to share it with anybody.
Right.
So yeah, when I think about the progression of my disease, and let me say this too, because some people are like, oh, it's not a disease. Well, in my opinion, it is a disease, because anything that you put in your body affects your body. It's just like if you drink too much, your liver becomes diseased, right?
Right.
So it's the same thing with your brain. Addiction affects your brain and your thinking, your logical thinking. So things that are normally logical to you don't become as logical. So things that brought you pleasure, for example, you might like to go sit outside and watch the sunrise. That doesn't bring me pleasure anymore, because now I have this substance that's affecting my brain, but I don't realize it. So eventually I stopped going out, just stopped doing a lot of things that I had been doing that brought me pleasure. Going to the mall, it was just kind of like existing, just getting to a point where I felt like I was just existing, and then staying away from people because I'm afraid of me. I'm really afraid of what I'm going to do, who I'm going to tell off today, or, so it just started to get out of control. And, anything that you have to control, to me, is already out of control.
Right.
So that was definitely a sign. Me trying to control it, switching liquors, different bars, different friends. Once the consequences started coming, I never really connected it to the alcohol.
Okay.
And then once I decided I needed to stop, I couldn't. I would do stuff. My friends would come over and they would try not to drink in front of me, but I know they drinking, and so yeah, it was just crazy. But that's what we call insanity. My inability to see the truth. That's my definition for insanity. my inability to see the truth, because everybody around me could see it. And then I'm looking at other people that are drinking and using, popping pills, smoking weed, and they get up, go, you know, but me,
Functioning, yeah.
I'm starting to get to a point where I can't function,
Okay.
but I still have people kind of holding me up. So it kept me out there longer.
Okay.
Now, as far as the opiates, how I ended up picking up opiates was someone that I was involved with was using them.
Okay.
By this point, I've gotten a DUI. My drinking is really out of the consequences are starting to become what I would consider unmanageable.
Okay.
You know, I crashed my car because I would drink and drive all the time, right? But I thought that I drove better when I was drinking.
No, I've heard that. I've heard
people
that,
think
yeah.
that, and I was one. But you got to tell yourself that to keep doing. I mean, you got to get home from the bar, right?
Right,
If you're
yeah.
intoxicated, you're not
Yeah,
like, well,
you
let me
don't.
call an Uber, because you're not even thinking in your right mind anyway.
Right.
Because this, you know, the alcohol or whatever you're using, it really hijacks your brain.
That's
So
facts.
you're not thinking with your rational mind.
Right.
So I would make decisions all the time that made absolutely no sense. But anyway, so I had got a DUI, and of course I had to go to court for it. And by this time, a person I was in a relationship with was using it, came home, and it was like, oh, well, try this. You know, you won't be out here wilding out, you know, like a lot, you know, just kind of, because alcohol has you like, you want to be at the club, you want to be around people. And so I went from to, you know, and then I remember the first time I did it, it was just like relaxing feeling came over me. It was just like calm that I
Okay.
hadn't experienced, because remember, my life is so chaotic. That actually felt good to me,
Okay.
you know. But again, I told myself, well, I'm not going to get addicted to it. I'm just going to try it. See. But I liked the feeling so much that I did it again.
Okay.
And then I did it again. And then again. And before I knew it, now I'm not using alcohol anymore. Now I'm using heroin.